Invader Zim is a cult classic. The return of the series for the 2019 Netflix series Invader Zim Enter the Florpus is a testament to that fact. With its dark comedy and hot topic appeal, it has found its way into memes, apparel, and the hearts of generations that were even too young to remember its debut in the early 2000s. It is easy to see the appeal of cartoons like Invader Zim. It's a funny show that was creative in its art style, but there is something that differentiates Invader Zim from other popular Nickelodeon cartoons like SpongeBob, who also have intergenerational appeal. The thing that makes Invader Zim so unique and so special to popular culture has to do with its ability to turn television and movie tropes on their head, its ability to poke fun at the mundane, its way of satirizing the way that people speak and think and act. What makes Invader Zim different provided the viewer with a catharsis that few other cartoons provide without going blue or having viewer discretion advised. And this thing is absurdity. Invader Zim is very much a modern day depiction of the theater of the absurd. The Absurdist theater was a movement in the 1950s and 60s in theater that agreed with existentialist theory that human individuals are free to make their own choices and meaning of the world around them. Essentially, the theater of the absurd was a byproduct of Dadaism, Surrealism, and Symbolism that in concert asserted essentially that life has no clear or discernible meaning, so realism cannot truly convey the human experience, thereby leaving room for the absurd, for people to make of their purpose what they will. The theater of the absurd doesn't conform to the structure of traditional theater. They have unconventional dramatic action, plot is inverted, aimless, or circular. They can be funny, childish, illusionary, and illogical. Invader Zim captures the essence of the theater of the absurd with its deconstruction of sitcom, science fiction, and the human experience. The elements of absurdism in Invader Zim are palpable throughout every episode of the show. The absurd exists in the most minuscule aspects of the show, like the existence of Mini Moose, whose origins are completely mysterious and unexplained, to the grander aspects of the show, like a world that doesn't recognize a boy with green skin, no ears, and robots for parents as an alien. It would be an exercise in futility to try to explain every absurdity in Invader Zim, so I'll show you a handful of recurring gags and absurdisms.
My business is done.
Who takes 3 hours to go to the bathroom before lunch, Zim?
Nonsense. I had much to do. So much.
My tallest, a new child attacked me with meat. My conclusion, she's in love with me.
I need to use your telescope.
Guess who's an alien in the house?
You mean besides you? Rain, splash, splash, splash. Fun, fun, fun. Rain, rain, rain. We love rain.
You'll pay for this one.
Class, despite my moral outrage, the school principal is allowing you to celebrate Valentine's Day this year.
You know, I don't think there is a secret entrance. I work here and this is all I've seen.
This place is kind of big for a hot dog stand, don't you think?
Now, in order for Invader Zim to be a modern reflection of the theater of the absurd, it should probably serve the same or a similar function as the original. Invader Zim allows us to experience and make meaning of the various plots and scenarios through the insane imaginations of the world it creates. Although Invader Zim is a children's program and does have to adhere to certain conventions of that ilk, like the age of the characters and the language used, the show is foundationally absurd in its premise and its presentation. Invader Zim is different than other shows like Rick and Morty that certainly have an absurd premise, having a crazy grandfather who is a mad scientist whose abilities borderline on magic, but whose presentation is actually quite conventional in its need to follow easily discernible plot structure with A and B plot lines that bring the characters back to the status quo by the end of the episode, and easily discernible lessons and morals. Rick and Morty, which is essentially an animated sitcom, lacks Invader Zim's capacity for the absurd, and this is possibly because Invader Zim was originally a kids show, and kids shows, unlike shows that are geared towards adults, don't have to make sense for kids to like them. It is the absurdity of Invader Zim's ability to allow the audience to draw what it will from the story that makes Invader Zim such a satisfying show to watch. It didn't have to make sense like the real world does. There's no real plot. One episode ends with Zim and Dib turned into giant juicy bologna meats. One ends with Dib trapped in a cage with a monkey. And what of heroes? There are no heroes in Invader Zim. There are no villains. Everyone is just haphazardly trying to do their own thing. Each character is trying to make a purpose out of their own existence. Zim wants to prove himself to the tallest. Dib wants to prove that aliens exist. Gaz just wants to play video games. Professor Membrane wants to create the most groundbreaking, world-changing inventions and destroy Santa sometimes. The tallest want to conquer the universe, and Gur just wants waffles. Or tacos. Tuna? But the entire conceit of the show is that everyone is horrible at it. Everyone is horrible at getting what they want. Everyone wants to get something, but they're set back by somebody else and foiled by the end of the show. And no matter where the show ends, no matter who has the upper hand, the score is equal by the next episode. So, in Under the Florpus, who won? Did Dib win? Did Zim? Are the tallest burning in an inescapable pitted wasteland of stinging torment? Or will they eventually leave the Florpus hole? Yes? No? Maybe? All are correct. Which is why this show is so cathartic. Because if all meaning is the same, and the purpose of Invader Zim is what I decide, then maybe the meaning of Invader Zim is it's okay to be horrible. Thank you for watching this hideous video. This video has been brought to you by Absurdity and the Theater of the Absurd, a theme found in Invader Zim. Now subscribe! Subscribe like you never subscribed before!